نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم. Respected Dr. Ismail Noor, your chairman and imam, brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. The Isra and the Mi'raj and its implications for the Samawat. It's a very exciting topic, and it is a topic whose importance will continuously increase, not decrease, as we enter into the last phase of the life of Dajjal. What is the Isra and Mi'raj? Nabi Muhammad sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam first struggled all through the years in Makkah in a hostile environment, never yielding and never compromising, holding firmly to the truth, regardless of the price that he had to pay. When he had been tested, and when the world had become dark for him, 10 long years of struggle, and now Allah takes away his beloved wife, Khadija radiallahu ta'ala anha. And Allah takes away his uncle Abu Talib, the head of the Banu Hashim, who had offered the protection of the tribe to him. And he's without security. And he leaves Makkah and he goes to Taif in search of security. And Taif pelted him with stones and there's blood flowing from his body. But he does not give up. No. And we also must not give up. No. He returns to Makkah. He cannot enter his own city. Why? That's the price of holding on to the truth. If we have never paid a price, perhaps we are not holding on to the truth. Perhaps we only part-time and not full-time. And that's why we've not had to pay any price. He stands outside his own city and he cannot enter because of no security. One of the mushrikun, the idol worshippers, he comes with his sons and he offers tribal protection. And now the Prophet ﷺ can enter the city. But soon he will have to make hijrah. He'll have to give up city, give up home, give up everything and move, migrate. That's coming around the corner. Soon he'll have to go to the city of Yathrib, which subsequently would be given the new name of Madinah to Nabi. And there he's going to meet the Jews. There are lots of them in Medina. Why are they there? Why are they in Medina? Come on, Rabbi, tell me, why are you there? Because they know that someone is coming here. They don't know whether it's going to be the Messiah, Al-Masih, They don't know because they rejected Nabi Isa alayhi salam. They don't know whether it's going to be the prophet that Nabi Musa alayhi salam had prophesied. They don't know who it is. But they're there in Medina. And there's going to be a critically important confrontation when he arrives in Medina. And so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala intervenes and takes him on a journey. A journey which is a blessing for him. The fruit of all those years of struggle. The fruit of having stood up with a backbone made of steel, never yielding, never compromising, regardless of how hostile the environment was. Is this not the Sunnah? Where has the Sunnah fled today? Today you stand like that and your own friends will leave you. Today you stand like that and they say you're a terrorist. It's a lonely thing to be a Muslim in the world today. It's a lonely thing to follow the Sunnah of Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam. Not only did Allah bless him with Isra and Miraj, in consequence of that struggle which he had engaged in, but in preparation for what is to come when he travels on the Hijrah, and in preparation for what is to come when Allah takes him away from this world, and this ummah will have to face Akhirul Zaman. That's why he was taken on this journey. So that today here in Sityawangsa, that journey into the Samawat will come back to us to guide us, to guide us as we face the world in which we now live for Akhirul Zaman. It is not an easy topic. Now, if we are to go more, to do more than simply the periphery of narrating a story, anybody could do that. It is a challenging topic, requiring intellectual and spiritual struggle to penetrate it. If we are to derive what is so significant in this event. Nabi Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam is asleep. And the angel Jibreel alayhi salam comes and wakes him up and asks him to mount on a heavenly animal, Buraq. And the animal takes him on a journey into the Samawat and back to the material universe, into the Samawat and back into the material universe. While he is traveling from Makkah to Jerusalem. Is this happening by accident? The Buraq comes down, a caravan is camped for the night. And Nabi Muhammad comes off Buraq. And there is a container of water, and there was a lid on it. And he removed the lid and he drank the water. Is this by accident? From the Samawat, back to the material universe, and then back to the Samawat. Is there a message being sent to us about travel? Or is it just a matter of drinking the water to provide proof of the journey? And then again he comes back down. A caravan has camped and the camel has broken loose. And he calls out to the people who are sleeping, your camel has broken loose. And then up again. Why is Burak doing this? Is it to teach a lesson pertaining to travel from this world of space and time to the parallel universes? How important is that topic? We will see later, inshallah. And when he arrives in Jerusalem, the prophets of Allah are there. But he sees them in their terrestrial form. And then subsequently, as he goes through the Samawat, he sees them in their celestial form. And he marvels at the difference. The terrestrial and the celestial. He leads a salat in which all the Anbiya alayhim salam participate. And the salat takes place in Masjid al-Aqsa. But at that time, Masjid al-Aqsa was a garbage dump. There was no building. So is this the Masjid al-Aqsa of this world and space of time? Or is it the Masjid al-Aqsa in another world of space and time? And then Jibreel alayhi salam offers him 2 cups. One with milk and the other with you know what. In South America, that part of the world from where I come, where you have the American Indians, they call it fire water. Fire water. Wine. Is this by accident? Or is a profound message being sent for Akhirul Zaman? Do we need to put our antennas up and minutely examine every single event that occurs on this event, this journey? Is it that in Akhirul Zaman mankind are going to be tested with alcohol? And alcoholism and drug addiction is going to destroy? And we must prepare ourselves to choose that which is good and wholesome, milk, rather than that which is the mother of all evil. And he chooses the milk. And Jibreel alayhi salam replies and says, you've chosen well, you've chosen fitra. And then he ascends into the Samawat. And each Sama, and there are 7 of them, they call in physics the parallel universes. The physicist no longer doubts the existence of these parallel universes. Different worlds of space and time. And as he traverses the worlds of space and time, different Anbiya alayhim salam welcome him. And the angels welcome him. But there was one angel who never smiled. When you meet someone who does not smile, you're not very comfortable with such a person. Which reminds me, Dr. Noor, I have travelled around the world. Allah has blessed me. I have never found people with a sweeter smile than in Malaysia and Indonesia, the Malay people. Both men and women, both men and women. And a more artificial smile than an American politician smile. Yes, you can judge people You can judge people and their sincerity by their smile. But this one would not smile. Who is he? And Jibreel alayhi salam replied and said, this is Malik, the keeper of Jahannam. Not even for you did he smile. Nothing happens by accident on this journey. Could you kindly allow me, ask him to allow me to take a look? Jibreel alayhi salam doesn't have to ask him politely, Malik, would you be so kind as to allow me? Because Allah says about Jibreel, Muta'in thumma ameen. You must obey him. So Malik has to remove the covering and the flames shoot out. Frightful. And after the flames have subsided, he now looks down into Jahannam. And he sees a number of things. He sees men, not women, men, sitting at a table. And there is that meat which is fresh, clean, nicely cooked, lazzat, makanan lazzat. And then there's the other meat which is rotten, stinking, maggots in it. And these men are eating the rotten meat instead of eating the good and fresh. Is there a message? Who are these men? Is there a message for us in Akhirul Zaman? These are the men who left the wives that Allah had made halal for them to commit zina. Zina is the destruction of nur. You cannot survive Akhirul Zaman without nur. Nur is not sold in the stock market. You can't get nur in the supermarket. Nur comes only from Allah. And without nur, you're just like cattle. And if you walk down the road of zina, you will live in darkness without any nur. That's the message of Isra and Miraj. And tonight, we have to repeat that message to our young ones. For the danger for them is awesome, awesome, awesome. Young men, young lions, their hormones are raging. And this is that age in which women will be dressed and yet naked. And so the invitation for zina, the door is open. And sex is as freely available as the sunshine. Just leave the Muslim village and go into that Western civilization and you'll see how they live. And then he saw some men with potbellies. And the bellies are transparent. And inside of their bellies there are snakes. Terrible. Who are these men? And Jibreel alayhi salam replies that these are the men who consume riba. When last did you hear a khutbah for your Salatul Jum'ah in which the Khatib taught and explained the subject of riba? This is the last revelation to come down from Allah in the Quran, the very last. And in that revelation Allah declared war. If you persist with riba, فَأَذَنُوا بِحَرْبٍ مِّنَ اللَّهِ وَرَسُولِهِ. Take notice of a declaration of war from Allah and His Messenger. But who cares? Who cares today? And when we come to teach the subject of riba in the banking system, the subject of riba in the monetary system, if you noticed when I stood up for salat, I took this out. I did not perform my salat with this in my pocket. Why? Listen, your brother Imran Hosein has done his homework. And he's not talking idly when he says that the money which we are now using, the US dollar and the French franc and the euro and the Malaysian ringgit and the Pakistani rupee and what and whatnot and whatnot and whatnot, it's bogus, it's fraudulent, it's utterly haram. But when will you ever find a scholar of Islam, one of your teachers, your gurus, who will stand up and speak these words? And yet it's the truth. Yes, it's the truth. I've done my homework, I know my subject. There's riba in the banking system, there's riba in the monetary system, there's riba all around us. But who cares about riba today? That was the message from Isra and Miraj. And then he's allowed to see Jannah. And in Jannah, in Jahannam we found majority were women. Majority were women. This is not something to castigate our mothers and sisters and daughters. This is the mother of all wake-up calls to the women of Islam. If your head cannot bow to the Quran, sister, you are in trouble. You can take your PhD and throw it in a garbage bin. All your academic accomplishments, you can throw it into a garbage bin, my sister. If that pretty head of yours cannot bow to the Quran. Yes, I know they're going to be angry with me. But I don't preach Islam to please people. It doesn't bother me. The head must bow to the Quran. And most women in the world today, not just Muslim women, that head of theirs cannot bow. No, that head of theirs cannot bow to the Quran. That's why the majority were in Jahannam for a moment. So you want to ask me, well, where is the proof that our heads will not bow to the Quran? Imran will say, I'll give it to you, inshallah. And then he was allowed to see Jannah. And he saw a most beautiful girl, and he described her. Who is that girl? This was Allah's gift. This is Allah's gift to one of the companions of the Prophet ﷺ. And so Islam is sending a message of the status of the male-female relationship. In Akhir al-Zaman, you've got a choice to make. On this side there is lust. A lot of it in Akhir al-Zaman. Lust. And with lust you'll go to her. And you'll use her. And you will exploit her. And you'll enjoy her. And you'll abuse her. And you'll degrade her. And you'll discard her. And she will remain a memory for just a fleeting moment. And that memory will eventually get bad smelling, fit for the garbage bin. And that is Dajjal's plan. as he brings the feminist revolution and the sexual revolution. And on the other side there is love. Lust and love are opposite to each other. In this one it's like a wine that you drink to satisfy your thirst. But strangely, the more you drink, the greater the thirst. The thirst never goes with lust. And on this side there is love. And one sip with love, and the thirst is quenched. This is the way to go to a woman. This is the way to show respect for a woman. And the best of all gifts that Allah will give to you in Jannah is a woman. And we've given the description of the woman. So don't you want a piece of Jannah here on earth? Why don't you get married? So you get a piece of Jannah here on earth. This is a message not only for men, but also for women. That if you go down as a woman down the road of zina, and there's so many women now going down that road of zina, you're going to end up as garbage. Because lust belongs to the garbage bin. And love is something that is fragrant, beautiful. So Dajjal gets you to postpone marriage and postpone marriage and postpone marriage. The girl has to go to university. You stupid people used to get your girls married when they were 14 and 15. But we are now civilized. We are progressive. We have risen to a higher state than you fools. We don't marry our girls at 14 and 15 anymore. No. Our girls are married when they're 20, 21, 22, and 23, and 24. Yes. Forget the price. Why don't you tell us the price? Why do you hide it? How many of them are still virgins? Be careful when you deal with this subject, because it's not going to be comfortable for people who are brainwashed by Dajjal. This is the gift that Allah has for you in Jannah. The gift of a beautiful girl, with the description of that girl given by Nabi Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam. Nothing happens in the Isra and Miraj by accident. Everything is profound with meaning and significance, particularly for Akhirul Zaman. And then he returns. And when he returns, the spot on which he was lying was still warm. So this journey took place in a fraction of a moment. It was not a journey in space and time. No. You can't travel to Jerusalem and up into the Samawat and back. And the spot on which he was lying is still warm. No. It has to be a journey in which you left this world of space and time, and you traversed other worlds of space and time. That appears to me to be the most profound, the most important, the most significant of all the messages which are being sent in Isra and Miraj. They questioned him. If you did perform this journey, why don't you describe Jerusalem for us? And Allah put Jerusalem before his eyes, and he was able to describe. The two caravans arrived in Mecca, And when they were questioned, they said, yes, it happened. We put the water there, and there was a lid on the water. And there was water in the container. In the morning when we got up, the lid was still there, but the water was gone. And the other caravan confirmed, yes, we were sleeping and we heard a voice crying out, your camel has broken loose. We woke up, we saw nobody, but we saw the camel had broken loose, confirming that it happened. And yet there were Muslims who left Islam because of this. As today there are Muslims who would leave Islam because of what we say is in the Quran, in the Sunnah, because they don't like it. It is unpalatable for the new, sophisticated, educated intellect and personality. They want an Islam that would be allow them to live comfortably with the modern world. That's not going to happen tonight. Nabi Muhammad ﷺ then spent a number of years releasing information, little by little, bit by bit, of what he had seen on that journey. And we now leave the first verse of Surah Al-Isra and we go to Surah Al-Najm. And in Surah Al-Najm we are told that فَدَنَا فَتَدَلَّى. He approached and he came even closer. فَكَانَ قَابَ قَوْسَيْنِ أَوْ أَدْنَى. And he approached so close that he was at a distance, if you know the bow and the arrow, 2 bows. You can take one bow, put it like this, and then a second one and put it like this, and you get a distance this much. Are you looking at me? 2 bows. But may Allah bless my teacher of blessed memory, Maulana Dr. Fadlur Rahman Ansari Rahimahullah, who instituted in the curriculum for us as students of Islam a subject entitled The Islamic Philosophy of Science. And Imran had to study the Islamic philosophy of science because of Maulana Fadlur Rahman Ansari Rahimahullah. And he brought an eminent scientist to teach us. And that eminent scientist told us, don't put the bows like this, 2 bows like this. Put the 2 bows like this. If you put the 2 bows like this, they will touch at a point. A point by definition has no length, no breadth, no thickness. It's non-spatial. And so, فَكَانَ قَابَ قَوْسَيْنِ أَوْ أَدْنَى means that the approach which is now taking place is outside of the framework of space and of time. That's the 2 bows. فَأَوْحَى إِلَىٰ عَبْدِهِ مَا أَوْحَى. And Allah now gave to His servant what He gave him as inspiration. مَا كَذَبَ الْفُؤَادِ مَا رَأَى. He's seeing a lot of things that Allah is showing him. But he's not seeing with these eyes. مَا كَذَبَ الْفُؤَادِ. He's seeing with the heart. And so we have now epistemology. Their epistemology, the godless world, is that knowledge comes only from external observation and rational inquiry. That's the epistemology of your modern university around the world. But the epistemology of the Quran is different. That we don't see with one eye, we see with 2. We not only see with external observation and rational inquiry, but we also see with an internal eye that the heart can also see. They don't teach that in any university on the face of the earth. If a university were to teach that, they'll shut down the university. ما كذب الفؤاد ما رأى. His heart did not reject that which the heart saw. But the heart will only see if there is nur in the heart, and if you go down the road of zina, you will have no nur in your heart. So you will live in darkness. So be careful when that door to zina is open to you. Be careful. You must remember that when you go into that room, you're going to live in darkness. Go ahead. Oh. Not only does zina destroy nur so the heart can see, but it's the same thing with riba. It's the same thing with riba. That's why we had the men and the meat, the good meat and the rotten meat. And that's why you had the men with the pot belly, with snakes in the belly. ما كذب الفؤاد ما رأى. And then the surah goes on to say that Nabi Muhammad ﷺ reached to the farthest point that he could go. Sidratul Muntaha, the farthest low tree. Beyond that, Israel alayhi salam could not go. Only Muhammad alayhi salam could go. But Allah used that tree, the symbolism of that tree, to again provide more knowledge to the Prophet alayhi salam. He is looking at the tree, the sidra. مَا زَاغَ الْبَصَرُ وَمَا طَغَى. So not only is he seeing with the internal eye, but he is seeing with basar, spiritual insight, basar. And that basar of his with which he is traveling does not waver, does not become tired. But when Musa alayhi salam was on the mountain and said to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Arini anzur ilayk, show me yourself, I want to see you. And Allah says, Lan tarani, you cannot see me, not with these eyes, Musa alayhi salam. But look to the rock. And then he directed his divine tajalli to the rock. And the rock exploded. And Musa alayhi salam fell down unconscious. But over here, he's gazing. Ma zagal basar. And his gaze does not waver at all. He doesn't fall down unconscious. لَقَدْ رَأَى مِنْ آيَاتِ رَبِّهِ الْكُبْرَى. He saw the greatest of the ayat of Allah. And he now chooses to disclose what he saw piecemeal over a period of time. So we get it little by little, little by little. And you got to be able to connect the dots when you read the seerah. It is at this moment that he is looking at the tree that he saw a woman dressed and yet naked. It is at this moment that he is looking at the tree that he saw a woman dressed like men, with trousers. Now it become blue jeans. And then nearly all of them have joined a particular Jamaat called the Blue Jeans Jamaat. and the blue jeans become tighter and tighter. Women will be dressed like men, and then you have a jacket, because you got to dress like a man when you're working and assuming the functional role of men in society, because you face the same morning traffic and you face the same evening traffic. Anything that a man does, a woman can do, and I'm now a professional woman. So you've got to dress professionally. You do not dress like a woman. When you're a professional, no, you've got to dress like a man. He said it, and he saw it on the tree. So you see her with a jacket cut like a man. And I went to a hotel in Jakarta, and I saw all the women working in that hotel, all wore ties. This he saw on the tree. And he saw men dressing like women. Why would a man dress like a woman? Answer: to attract another man, that's why. And so homosexuality will become rampant in Akhirul Zaman. If a man is to dress as a woman, the first thing he has to do is to shave off his beard. And we never shaved off our beards, not those who followed Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam, until they shaved it off and we followed them, and that is the truth, whether you like it or you don't. So if you choose to shave off your beard, you better prepare yourself on Judgment Day, when you stand before Allah, to explain to Him why you've done it. Why did He put a beard on the face of the male? Why? Two reasons. Two reasons. The first one, of course, you all know, to distinguish the male from the female, the divine wisdom. So you could tell from a distance who is a man and who is a woman, just look at the face. You don't have to look at any other part of the body. What's the second reason, Dr. Ismail Nur? What's the second reason why Allah put a beard on the face of the male? Dr. Noor doesn't know. Anybody knows? Answer: so children can play with it. Pick up a baby, and the first thing the baby will do is start to play with the beard. Okay. He saw that the time will come when you will not find a single person in all of mankind will not be consuming riba. He saw it. He saw Dajjal. He saw Gog and Magog. He saw the Malhama, or what the Christians call the Armageddon. And the Malhama has started, let me tell you that. The Malhama has now started by proxy. It's a proxy war going on in Ukraine now. They're fighting Russia by proxy. It was by proxy in Syria. It's now by proxy in Ukraine. And if you look carefully, you will see the pattern that's going to eventually conclude or culminate with the Malhama. Malhama is not one war. It appears that the Malhama is going to be a series of wars which will culminate with nuclear warfare. He saw all of these things out there and came back and is now disclosing them little by little over a period of time. Now then, we come to the most important part of our topic. Implications for today of the Isra and Miraj. We've already, in delivering the talk, pointed out many of the things. For example, riba and zina and so on. But the most important of all that pertain to the Isra and Miraj was movement from this world of space and time to the parallel universes. How important is this? The greatest fitna that mankind will experience, from the time of Adam alayhi salam to the last day, will be the fitna of Dajjal. You know that you're now living in the age of Dajjal, who wants to impersonate the Messiah, and therefore who has to rule the world from Jerusalem, and therefore who has to liberate the Holy Land, because the Holy Land is under Muslim rule. He's done that already. He's got to bring the Jews back to the Holy Land to reclaim it as their own. He's done that already. He's got to restore a state of Israel in the Holy Land and get the Jews to believe that this is Holy Israel. He's done that already. He's got to get Israel to become the ruling state in the world, and that is about to happen. And then he will stand up in Jerusalem and declare, I am the Messiah. That's coming around the corner. So you know you're living in the age of Dajjal. And therefore you know you're living in that age when Islamic scholarship has to be the best in the entire history of Islam. You need the best scholars of Islam in this age, better than everything that we've had before. The tragedy is we have the worst today. We have the worst today, the worst today. That's our tragedy. The Prophet ﷺ says, recite the first 10 ayat of Surah Al-Kahf, protection of the fitna of Dajjal. The first 10 ayat of Surah Al-Kahf take us to the story of the young men in the cave. So there is in the young men in the cave important information linked with Dajjal. What is it? They slept in the cave for 300 years, was it? And some say 309, lunar and solar. And then Allah woke them up to see which of them could best calculate how long had they been in the cave. So one of them said to the others, we've been here for a day or a part of a day. Okay? And of course we found that very strange. Why? Because if there's something wrong, they can't see. If you've been in the cave for 300 years, then when you wake up, your fingernails should be as long as from Siti Awangsa to KLCC. Huh? And your beard from here to Johor Bahru. So can't they see what's wrong with them? How could they say a day or a part of a day? You went to sleep at age 20 and you wake up at age 320. You're not going to look the same. But they said a day or a part of a day. Indicating, listen carefully, indicating that the stay in the cave of 300 years was not spent in biological time. I don't think anyone can dispute that statement. We're not dealing with biological time. They could have stayed in the cave for 1,000 years. They would still be the same age as when they went to sleep. Wherever they were during that time, that's a world in which women don't need cosmetics. They remain forever young. Forever young. So they spent 300 years in the Samawat. Now, in our world of space and time. Because they did not spend it in biological time. Good? Good? Are you agree? Wrong. Answer is wrong. This answer is wrong. Where is the evidence that the answer is wrong? وَتَرَى الشَّمْسَ إِذَا طَلَعَتْ تَدَاوَرُ عَنْ كَهْفِهِمْ ذَاتَ الْيَمِينِ وترى الشمس إذا طلعت تداور عن كهفهم ذات اليمين وإذا غربت تغربهم في ذات الشمال وهم في فترة منه. When the sun came up in the morning, the sunlight entered the cave from the right, and when the sun set in the evening, the sunlight entered in the cave to the left. وَنُقَلِّبُهُمْ ذَاتَ الْيَمِينِ وَذَاتَ الشِّمَالِ. And we cause their bodies to roll to the right and to the left in attraction to sunlight. So every morning the bodies were rolling from here to there, to the right, and every evening the bodies were rolling from here to there, to the left. Attraction to sunlight. And this is space, and this is time, morning and evening. And so they spent the 300 years in our world of space and time. Our previous answer was wrong. But even this one is wrong. Well then, how do we solve this riddle? This is why Allah sent the Isra and Miraj. He went up, came down, drank the water. Or have you forgotten? Went up, came down. Your camel is loose. Okay? Up and down is not happening by accident. It is meant to trigger our capacity for profound thought. Because you're going to need it now in Akhirul Zaman. That it is possible to travel back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, in less than a fleeting moment, in less than a fraction of a moment. You can travel. Has the Quran spoken to us about travel? Yes, when I entered the masjid just now, before the Salatul Maghrib, Suratul Mulk was recited. And in Suratul Mulk Allah spoke and He said, بَعَلَوُذُ بِاللَّهِ مِنَ الشَّيْطَانِ الرَّجِيمِ تبارك الذي بيده الملك وهو على كل شيء قدير الذي خلق الموت والحياة ليبلوكم أيكم أحسن عملا وهو العزيز الغفور الذي خلق 7 سماوات طباقا. He it is who has created the 7 parallel universes alongside each other, beside each other. Ma tara. You do not see. You will not see. Ma tara. It's seeing he's talking about the Quran. Fi khalqi rahmani min tafawut. You will not find any defect. You will not see any defect in Allah's creation, meaning the samawat. Farji'il basara hal tara min futur. Let your basar return. Let your basar return. Do you find any defect? Could it be more plain than that? That Allah is inviting us to travel to the samawat. And the travel to the samawat will be with the basar. Ma zaga al-basar. His basar did not wave when he looked at the tree. And then in Surah Al-Rahman, Ya ma'ashar al-jinni wal-ins, O assembly of mankind and the jinn, in istata'tum an tanfuzu min aqtari as-samawati wal-ard fanfuzu. If you wish to embark on the effort to travel, to traverse the samawat, go ahead, proceed with the effort. Go ahead, fanfuzu, go ahead, proceed with the effort. And I want to say, you cannot penetrate Dajjal. And therefore you cannot penetrate Dajjal's strategy. His ultimate strategy. And this is the age of Dajjal today. You cannot do it unless and until you are someone living in this world, but also accessing other worlds, traversing other worlds. The normal way in which we traverse other worlds is with spiritual insight. And then people will say, he probably has a jinn talking to him. He probably has a jinn talking to him. And then the Salafi will come around and say, only Allah knows the future. Take Imran Hosein and throw him in the garbage bin. Only Allah knows the future. The normal way of traversing the Samawat for scholarship is through spiritual insight. And spiritual insight will only come when you do your homework. You've got to do your homework. وَأَلَيْسَ لِلْإِنسَانِ إِلَّا مَا سَعَى. You've got to plant if you want to read. You've got to use the intellect, the rational faculty first, before the inner sight can deliver knowledge. The two have to come together in what the Quran calls Majma'ul Bahrain. And so they went up and down for 300 years. They were in this world of space and time, morning and evening, morning and evening. And they were in another world of space and time because they were the same age. So it was constant movement back and forth, constant movement back and forth. Can we do it? Of course. Did your Prophet not say to you, As-salatu mi'rajul mu'min? Have you forgotten that? That salat is the mi'raj of the mu'min. Salat is the mi'raj of the mu'min. And so it is with basar in salat that you travel. I want to now conclude by giving you an insight into Dajjal's strategy to prevent you from traveling. The Prophet said, alayhi salatu wasalam, that al-wudu miftahul salat. Wudu is the key to salat. So if Dajjal could corrupt your wudu, forget it. The salat is not going anywhere. A man was performing wudu, and the Prophet ﷺ passed by and asked, what is the explanation for this waste of water? Israf. The man said, O Messenger of Allah, is there such a thing as israf, waste of water in wudu? Yes, said the Prophet. Yes. Even if you are in front of a running stream of water, no shortage of water. Do not exceed the limit. What's the limit? This is the limit. This is more than the amount of money, water, a mud of water. And how do you perform wudu? You take the container with your left hand and you pour some water on your right hand. Why? Because the right hand has to dip. And the cup that you make with your hand is the amount of water to use in every act of wudu. Can we do that today? Now we have the tap, the faucet. So if you want to perform the wudu of the sunnah, one hand will have to be on the tap, opening and closing, as you fill this amount of water. I invite you to go and travel the whole world of Islam. Go and travel the whole world of Islam if you want. But carry a handkerchief with you when you go, so you can wipe your tears. And see how people perform wudu today when they use the tap. If you use a container, and in Malaysia there are some places where you have a pool of water and you dip and you use a container for making wudu, that is different. But this one with the tap, you'll see the tap open. And you see making massa on the head and the water is still flowing. If you collect all that water, 30, 40, 50 times this, tell me, will that wudu be valid? where there is such israf, wanton israf. Dajjal and Gog and Magog are destroying your wudu, as a consequence of which your salat is going anywhere. If you perform your salat and you have haram in your pocket, bogus, fraudulent and haram, is your salat going to go anywhere? You don't have to take my word for it, you can check it out yourself. Paper money and the electronic money that's coming to follow it, Israel is going to become the world's first cashless country. Yeah. It's complete Dajjal. You go and vote in elections in the modern state. You have not studied the subject, but you already have an opinion. Oh, if we don't go and vote, they're going to get power in this country, we have to go and vote, Sheikh. Okay, go ahead and vote. When you're in Jahannam, don't call me on the phone. The modern state came into being after Dajjal had created modern Western civilization and gave it a scientific and technological revolution that gave it military power, which could not be matched by any power in the world. And they then went about demolishing all political systems in the world, including the Khilafah, and then replacing it with the modern state, which is built on the foundations of Sheikh. Notice that's the pronunciation of the word. So pronounce it correctly. I'm talking to the Malay people. Listen to me. The pronunciation of the word is shirk, which is one syllable. Don't make it two. So you go and you vote in election then, and you believe your salat is going to get you somewhere? No. You go borrow money from the bank on interest because you're running a business or so. The curse of the Prophet is upon you. How your salat will take you anywhere? But the last one I want to talk about before I end is that Nabi Muhammad ﷺ had many wives. Are you ashamed of that? Is there anyone who is ashamed? Do you think it was an accident that he had many wives? Nabi Dawood ﷺ had many wives. Nabi Sulaiman ﷺ had many wives. Nabi Ibrahim ﷺ had many wives. All the prophets of Allah. And when Nabi Isa ﷺ returns, almost certain he will have many wives. But Dajjal came around and did a work of brainwashing. And the brainwashing is meant to get you to believe that good men, men who are models of society, are men who have only one wife. And so no woman in the world wants her husband to take a second wife. They would prefer to break up the marriage. I want to divorce, but I will not tolerate a second wife. Well, I have news for you. That the Quran is truth. And in the Quran, Allah has permitted plural marriages. Dajjal doesn't like that. Because Dajjal wants to take the men of this ummah and transform them into boys. People who are wearing long trousers to wear short pants. The Quran not only permits plural marriage, but the Prophet of Allah also gave the sunnah of plural marriage. And that profound scholar of Islam, some people are going to be annoyed when I mention his name, but you don't have to listen to me. There are many other sheikhs out there. You can listen to them if you don't like I mentioning his name. He's known as Sheikh al-Akbar, Sheikh Muhyiddin ibn Arabi. And if I mention his name and you don't like that, you can go and listen to somebody else. Leave Imran Hosein alone. I'm not going to be programmed but to your taste. Sheikh al-Akbar Muhyiddin ibn Arabi was a great scholar. A great scholar. And he spoke about women. And he pointed out that of all the ayat of Allah, and an ayah is a symbol. through which you can approach Allah. Of all the ayat of Allah, the ayah which is closest of all to a man is woman. She is his door to heaven. She is his door to heaven. This is Muhyiddin Ibn Arabi. And so there was wisdom, divine wisdom, when Allah permitted plural marriages. He not only permitted plural marriages, more than that. He said when the wars took place and many men died and there were lots of orphans, he said, وَإِنْ خِفْتُمْ أَلَّا تُقْسِطُوا فِي الْيَتَامَى. If you fear that you will not be able to put justice now to all these orphans, what to do with all these orphans? Allah responds and says, here's one thing you can do. فَانْكِحُوا مَا طَابَ لَكُم مِّنَ النِّسَاءِ. Marry those who are pleasing to you of the nisa. What is nisa? Nisa is a woman, and this is an orphan. Nisa is a woman. Why is Allah using the word nisa? He's saying using the word nisa means amongst the orphans there will be those who have reached the age of puberty. And when a girl reaches the age of puberty, she is a woman in Islam, but not for your godless law. Your godless law says she has to reach 21 before she's a woman. You can take that and throw it into the garbage bin because that's not the Quran. You can take that and throw it into the garbage bin because that is not Islam. If that's the road you want to go, go and don't come back. We stay with the Quran. From the time a girl reaches the age of puberty, she is a woman. So Allah is saying that amongst the orphans, you can marry those who have reached the age of puberty, because now they are women. So what do we do with that hadith in Sahih Bukhari? That the Prophet ﷺ married me when I was 6 years of age. It is in Sahih Bukhari. Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha is saying this. It's fabricated, it's false. Take it and throw it into the garbage bin because it's a conflict with the Quran. فَانْكِحُوا مَا طَابَ لَكُم مِّنَ النِّسَاءِ مَثْنَى وَثُلَاثَ وَرُبَاعَ. You can marry 2, you can marry 3, you can marry 4. These are the orphan girls who have reached the age of puberty. وَإِنْ خِفْتُمْ أَلَّا تَعْدِلُوا. Now, when you marry a second wife, your first wife should not have to suffer. No. It cannot be at the expense of her standard of living. No. Her standard of living must be maintained. So you have to marry a second wife provided you have the means that you can maintain her at the same level with this one. You don't bring down this one so you could take a second one. No. So taking a second and a third and a fourth wife is permissible if you have the means to maintain the second and the third and the fourth at the same level that you're maintaining the first. And if you fear that you cannot do that for wahida, then marry only one. But Allah does not stop there. He says, أَوْ مَا مَلَكَتْ أَيْمَانُكُمْ. This is normally translated slave, but Allah does not use the word slave. Allah does not use the word slave. Allah does not use the word slave. What word does Allah use for Malk al-Yamin? He used a nice and graceful word. He says, Fatayatukum. Your young man, your young woman. Fatayatukum. And the Prophet said, don't use the word slave. So don't come to me with the word slave. Take it through that door and leave it there. Don't come to me with the word slave. So you can marry one أو ما ملكت أيمانكم. You are also allowed to have intimate relations with a category of women who are not your wives. Dajjal doesn't want that to happen. Dajjal does not want that to happen. So this verse of the Quran is now in cold storage. Surah Al-Mu'minun. قَدْ أَفْلَحَ الْمُؤْمِنُونَ. These are the ones who are successful. Who are they? Those who perform the salah. Those who give the zakat. Those who stay away from idle talk. Those who guard and protect their private parts, except with their wives. Stop me if I'm wrong. Stop me if I'm wrong. Those who guard and protect their private parts, except with their wives and with their Malak al-Yamin. For with these there is no blame. There is no blame. So Allah in His wisdom has given us two categories of women with whom men can have intimate relations. Wives and Malak al-Yamin. Dajjal has come along to destroy this first one, only one wife. So when you're getting young man, when you're getting married, before your marriage, make it clear. If she says, I cannot tolerate my husband having a second wife, say to her, when that pretty head of yours can bow down before Allah's book, then we could talk. Until then, sorry. Say that to her. That pretty head of yours must first bow before Allah's kitab. When you bow before Allah's kitab, then you're a Muslim. So that is now destroyed. It takes a very, very brave man today to take a second wife. You may have some in your surah, maybe I don't know. And as for Malak al-Yamin, that is destroyed as well. Gone. Finished. It's now in a place called cold storage. And that's why I said to you at the beginning, to be a Muslim today, it's a very lonely life. It's a very lonely life to be a Muslim today. This is our subject on the Isra and Mi'raj. And I hope now at the end of the topic, you are beginning to connect the dots, to see that Dajjal has a master plan, which has been at work for a long time, to ensure that men cannot travel through the Samawat, because men are being reduced, and women cannot travel because that pretty head will not bow before the Quran. May Allah bless our sisters of Islam. May Allah bless them with Jannah. Build houses for them in Jannah who say, if it is in the Quran, I submit to the word of Allah. Whether I am comfortable with it or I am not. When she says that, I submit to the word of Allah, I ask you to join with me in making dua that Allah might build for her a house in Jannah. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا يا مولانا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين آمين.